Hello there. Some teams work in-house, some teams work from home. As more companies are creating policies to respond to the current global pandemic and its residual effects, experts expect the effects of the pandemic to linger for at least 2 more years. As a result, workplaces will look very different from what we knew before. In this video, I will explore how you can boost employee morale when you have in-house and remote teams working with you and for you in this ever-changing workplace environment. I'll be right back. Welcome back. My name is Raymond Huan, and if you own a business, you're interested in business, or you wish to learn about the tips and tricks on how to operate a business better, I encourage you to click on the subscribe button that you see before you right now. The sweeping changes brought by the coronavirus pandemic will affect the workplace in various ways, and this includes employee morale. Many workers have been encouraged to work from home to lower the risk of the coronavirus spreading around. Some companies such as Facebook, Square and Google have started putting infrastructure into place to enable some of its workforce to work from home in the long term or even permanently. Telecommuting or working remotely is not an entirely new concept, as it has existed to some degree for quite a few decades now. However, the events of recent years, such as globalization, the coronavirus pandemic, and combined with the advancements of technology, has created a demand for greater workplace flexibility that has made remote work more common and accessible to workers than ever before. While remote work has its advantages, particularly in providing workers greater autonomy and flexibility in how and where they work, it also has its downsides. Health experts monitoring the effects of increased remote work during the global pandemic reports that the mental health issues are surging. And then there is also the issue of how remote work is viewed by those working in-house or in your office. Workers who have not experienced working remotely, there is usually a certain stigma that comes with remote work. Some people may think that those who work from home work less to watch Netflix more or takes excursions to the mall or to the beach more often. Well, if you have ever tried working from home, you know that this is far from the case. In fact, studies show that people who work from home suffer from anxiety and stress precisely because they work more hours. If you're a business who has a mix of remote and in-house workers, this becomes a pressing issue because this affects overall employee morale and consequently employee productivity. So how do you boost and motivate your team when your team is a mix of remote and in-house workers? Well, to answer the question, I will share with you 3 key factors that you need to consider. First things first, determine how your employees will be evaluated. Employees are appraised based on whether they show up at work or not. In the traditional workplace, this is measured by the physical presence at work and the number of hours they spend working. Did they show up today? Did they work the full 8 hours? Whereas in remote teams, measures are not that straightforward. While there are certain software applications in the marketplace that may allow you to measure whether a remote worker is working on their desktop at particular times of the day, this seems rather counterintuitive to why we allow remote work to begin with, which is to provide greater autonomy and flexibility. So in my previous video on how to motivate employees the right way, I explored how cutting the number of work hours to provide employees with a greater but reasonable amount of autonomy motivates them and produces greater productivity. As work shifts from in-house to remote locations, measures of productivity should shift too. And these measures should be applied both in in-house and remote teams. The focus then should be on the output and creating and enforcing policies that enables and encourages workers to focus on delivery. Did they do the work that they're supposed to do? And were they able to accomplish that? But what if workers are required to show up at work at specific hours of the day? What if the type of work requires teams to chat with or deal with customers at particular hours of the day? How do we as a business handle that? Well, an example of a business whose employees all work remotely but show up for work at predetermined times of the day is Mountain Bikes Direct. In my previous video, I discussed more on their business, and I showed you how they can keep their team motivated despite all of them working remotely from different parts of the world. The key to this productivity is being clear about what is expected from each team member. Being fair to everyone is an important factor that determines employee morale. Promote a positive and inclusive culture by setting up regular catch-up meetings, where both in-house and remote team members are present. The catch-up meetings can be a venue to update the team about the state of current projects, or a venue to elicit help from each other to fix issues. Alternatively, there can be informal virtual coffee or cocktail meetings, depending on the profile of your team, for people to just catch up and share stories to just nurture team bonding. Aside from these catch-up meetings, businesses should also define how employees can report challenges or issues with work specific to them. Determine a communication plan with clear channels for escalation. What if a remote worker experiences connectivity issues in the middle of critical work? Where should he or she report this issue, and how should he or she proceed? Or what if an in-house worker needs to reach a remote team at hours outside operations for a critical issue? Or what if an employee, whether in-house or remote, suddenly needs to take a day off for personal reasons? So be clear about your policies and your channel of communications, and that would assist your team in getting their work done. Experts say that the global pandemic will change the way we work. Remember your team member who would report to work even if they were sick at times, just because work needs to be done? We used to measure worker diligence and commitment based on what an employee is willing to sacrifice just to get work done. It was normal to see a sick person report to work because they just needed to get things done. Well, not anymore. These norms have changed, and as leaders and business owners, it's our responsibility to keep everyone safe and healthy. There is a need to revise health policies, particularly policies on when employees should not report to work due to particular illnesses. The new policies and norms should also include measures that address employee mental health, particularly to remote employees who are more susceptible to loneliness, isolation, anxiety, and even depression. People are driven by their purpose. They are motivated to work when they see that their work contributes towards this purpose. They are also motivated when there is fairness and when the policies are equally enforced so that good work is recognized and offenses are corrected. If you're interested to know more about what a business has to go through when facing exponential growth, you can download the first chapter of my book, From 20K to 2 Million in 2 Years, absolutely free, here. The chapter talks about the differences between a good and a great business and puts out questions that make you consider how your business can turn from good to great. Thank you very much for watching this video, and I look forward to catching up with you again very soon.